Leonardo's speech yesterday was very much about the art of acting. And I'm wondering for you, as an actor with your whole experience, what makes a good actor?
I think one thing is to be just not to, you can create something, an effect, or be effective with doing very little as opposed to, you know, so if a director comes and says, you should do all this, I'd say, well, I don't know if I should do all that. I don't know if it will have much meaning, you know. You maybe don't have to do anything, and that'll have more meaning and more impact than doing this whole big thing. That's a very obvious example.
Salut Brut, je suis avec Robert De Niro qui vient de recevoir une palme d'honneur des mains de Leonardo DiCaprio au Festival de Cannes. Hi Bob.
Hi.
Hello Robert De Niro.
Hi.
I have to say it's pretty emotional to meet you, to speak to you. Of course you could feel the love in the audience yesterday. What does it still mean to you?
I'm okay with it, you know. I'd rather that than being not loved, not cared about, not respected. So I'm happy, you know. I'll take it.
As Leonardo DiCaprio said yesterday, you don't speak much, but when you do, it's worth it.
C'est pourquoi l'art est menacé, c'est pourquoi nous sommes une menace pour les autocrates et les fascistes de ce monde.
And it's true that your speech was very powerful and political. I'm wondering, when and why did you start to speak up? When did you decide to speak up as an actor?
I don't feel it's like it's just that everything is so wrong. I don't see how you can't speak up and say something about it. And just how can you live with that? What goes on, and how certain people buy into that, or just settle for it, or don't say anything. And I understand people have to make concessions, compromises. They have to work with what is given to them. But there's a point where you have to say, I've had enough. We have to do something. We have to do something, and we have to set an example for others so they can do something, because what's going on is wrong.
Especially as artists, as you mentioned yesterday, the artists are a threat to the autocrats and fascists of this world, and the whole speech sounded like a plea to organize some kind of resistance. How do you feel the film industry could resist?
I don't know how it can, other than telling stories, that examples of what we're going through now, or I guess, or whatever. I don't know. I think people have to resist in general what's going on, because with protests, with demonstrations, to show it's the people and it's the courts, and it's that simple.
For example, Robert De Niro, this idea to tax the American films that are shot abroad that you mentioned yesterday, what would be the consequences?
I don't know. It's crazy, because you're going to tax a movie that's American movie that's been shot abroad to bring over here. They have to pay a tax. Some of the biggest companies in the world are shooting movies all over the world. So now you come back, you got to pay a tax or a tariff or whatever. It's just crazy.
And the creativity of artists is threatened by that kind of...
it's just I don't understand. I don't understand what the point of that is. I don't understand it.
Actually, it makes a lot of sense that you were honored here in Cannes for your whole career. In your speech, you mentioned iconic films from Mean Streets to Killers of the Flower Moon. We were all thinking of Taxi Driver that won the Palme d'Or in 1976. Between you and me, what is the most powerful and emotional memory that you have in Cannes?
Even now, I mean, last night, I've been here many times. I always love coming here, but I'd say last night was one of the highlights. You know, the first time I came, you know, Cannes is the Riviera, glamorous. This is what you see in movies. So it was an exciting experience, and always has been every time I come.
You know, I'm thinking of this amazing image of you and Martin Scorsese 2 years ago when you were supporting each other to reach the top of the Cannes steps. And it seemed to me as an image of a lifelong friendship. I'm wondering, what do you owe Martin Scorsese?
Well, I'm fortunate to have worked with him all these years. And that even though we knew each other a little, we sort of knew each other through, he hung out with these other kids, I hung out with my friends, and then we had somebody who went between us who would tell me about Marty. He's going to NYU, he's doing, you know, his friend Marty, blah, blah, and he's directing, he's doing this, so he's movies, and I say, oh, that's interesting, and then one day we met years later at a mutual friend. I think we had Jay Cox's house, the film critic, and we met Christmas dinner years later, and I saw Who's That Knocking. I said, that was really terrific. You know what you're doing with that, the story and all that. And then we started talking about, he had a project called Season of the Witch, which was the original title of Mean Streets. And that's where we started.
What do you think he owes you?
I don't know.
You know, I'm asking this question because yesterday Leonardo DiCaprio, in a very emotional speech, basically said that he would not be who he is as a person and as an actor without you. You seem pretty moved by that.
How could I not? That was really a wonderful thing.
Do you remember when you met him the first time? What immediately struck you as an actor?
Well, we'd had a reading of a movie that I was going to do called This Boy's Life, and he was one of the kids reading the other parts. And at the end of it, I was talking to the producer, Art Linson, and I said that kid is good. You know, I didn't say use him. I said he's good. That kid's good.
Robert, few people know it, but your very first part in a movie as an extra was a walk-on in a film by a French director, Marcel Carné, Three Rooms in Manhattan. You were 22 years old. If you could have a chat with the young man that you were at the time, what would you tell him?
Oh, I don't know. There's the expression, if I only knew then what I know now. So then I would tell him a lot.
Maybe a piece of advice?
I don't mind giving people advice, kids, young people advice if they want it. Because when I was younger, I'd like to get advice from people who are older, had experience, been down the road, that road. So I don't solicit it, but if someone will want it, or if the moment arrives in a very natural way, I'll say what I think, you know.
What about shooting with more French directors? Are there French directors you would have dreamed to work with?
I don't know. There are many great French directors. I was very impressed with the Audiard film. It really was very special.
Emilia
movie.
Perez?
Yeah. But I don't know. You know, it's hard. You say you want to work. You got to find a project that's going to work for you, for the director, for the people. It's not so easy. It sounds easy, but it's not.